Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Best English Podcast. My name is Olivia, and I am so happy you've decided to join us today.
And I'm James. It's great to be here with you all. We have a really exciting topic today, one that I think every single English learner, including us when we were learning other languages, has thought about.
Oh, absolutely. We're diving deep into the two skills that can feel like the biggest mountains to climb, listening and speaking, specifically for you, our amazing intermediate learners.
Exactly. You're at that tricky stage, right? You know the grammar, you have a good amount of vocabulary, but when you listen to a native speaker talk, it sounds like they're speaking at 1,000,000 miles per hour.
1,000,000 miles per hour. That's the perfect way to describe it. Or that feeling when you want to say something, the perfect sentence is in your head, but when you open your mouth, it just gets stuck.
The dreaded freeze. Your brain just goes completely blank. It's the worst. We've both been there, and trust us, it is a completely normal part of the journey. The goal of today's episode is to give you some real, practical, and maybe even fun ways to push past that feeling.
We want to help you go from being a silent listener to a confident speaker. And it all starts with building a solid foundation. So, where should we begin, James? The listening mountain or the speaking mountain?
Let's start with listening. I feel like it's the foundation for everything else. You can't really learn to speak well if you can't understand what people are saying back to you, right? It's the input that fuels the output.
That's a brilliant point. Input fuels the output. I love that. So let's talk about the listening challenge. Why is it so difficult? When I was learning Spanish, I remember thinking, I know all these words on paper. Why can't I understand them when people say them?
Oh, I know that feeling so well. For me, it was the speed. But it's more than just speed. It's accents, it's slang, it's words all blending together. Native speakers don't speak like a textbook. We don't say, how are you today?
No, we definitely don't. We say, how you doing? Or you're right. The words get squished. For example, we don't say going to, we say gonna. We don't say want to, we say wanna. This is called connected speech, and it's one of the biggest hurdles for learners.
Totally. I remember watching an American movie for the first time without subtitles. It was Pulp Fiction. Terrible choice for a learner, by the way.
Oh no, James! That's like trying to learn to swim by jumping into the deep end of the ocean during a storm.
I know. It was a disaster. I think I understood maybe 10% of the dialogue. The characters were talking so fast, using so much slang I had never heard before. I felt so defeated. I thought, I'll never be able to understand real English.
And that feeling of being defeated is so dangerous for motivation, isn't it? It makes you want to just give up. But what did you do?
Well, after feeling sorry for myself for a day, I realized my mistake. I had chosen something way too difficult. It's like if you're a new runner, you don't start by trying to run a full marathon. You start with a short jog around the neighborhood.
That is the perfect analogy, and it brings us to our very first big tip for improving your listening. Choose the right material. Don't start with Pulp Fiction.
Please don't. Start with something that is just a little bit challenging for you, but not impossible. The goal is to understand most of it, maybe 70, 80%, so you can learn the other 20 to 30% from context.
Exactly. And there are so many great resources. Children's shows and cartoons can be amazing because they use simpler language and speak more clearly. But if you feel that's too childish for you, no problem.
Sitcoms, like Friends or The Office. The conversations are usually about everyday situations, and there are visual cues and laughter that help you understand what's happening. Plus, they're short, usually about 20 minutes, so you don't get overwhelmed.
Oh, Friends is a classic for learners. You get to know the characters and you start to understand their specific ways of speaking. But my personal favorite recommendation, and I might be a little biased here, is podcasts.
Podcasts? What are those? Never heard of them.
Oh, you? Well, podcasts like this one, designed for English learners, are perfect. We speak clearly, we choose our words carefully, and we talk about topics that are interesting to you. But even podcasts made for native speakers can be great. Find one on a topic you love: cooking, video games, history, fashion, anything.
Yes, if you're interested in the topic, you'll be much more motivated to listen and try to understand. Your brain is more engaged when you're enjoying yourself. Learning shouldn't feel like a punishment.
That's so true. Okay, so tip number one is to choose the right material. What's next? What do you do once you have your podcast episode or your Netflix show?
This is where we need to talk about the difference between passive listening and active listening. This was a game changer for me.
Ooh, tell us more. What do you mean by that?
Well, passive listening is when you have English on in the background while you're cleaning your room or cooking dinner. You're hearing it, but you're not really listening to it. It's good for getting used to the rhythm and sounds of the language, but it won't dramatically improve your comprehension on its own.
Right. It's like sitting in a car while someone else drives. You might get a general sense of the route, but you wouldn't be able to drive it yourself.
Exactly. Active listening is when you sit down and give the audio your full attention. You're the driver now. You're not doing anything else. You're just listening. And your goal is to understand as much as you can. It's a workout for your brain.
I love that. A workout for your brain. So how do we do this workout? What does an active listening session look like?
Okay, here's a simple but incredibly effective technique. I call it the listen, listen, read method. You need a short piece of audio, maybe 1 to 3 minutes long, and you need the transcript, the written text of the audio.
Most good podcasts for learners provide transcripts, and many YouTube videos have accurate captions you can use.
Perfect. So, step 1, listen. Just listen to the 1 to 3 minute clip one time. Don't look at the text. Just see how much you can understand. Maybe you get 50%, maybe 60%. It doesn't matter. Just get a general idea of the topic.
No pressure. Just a first listen to get familiar with it. I like that.
Step 2, listen again. This time, listen with more focus. Try to pick out specific words or phrases you didn't catch the first time. Maybe you can write down a few words you hear but don't know. Your comprehension might go up to 70% this time. You'll be surprised how much more you understand on the second listen.
It's amazing, isn't it? Your brain has already processed it once, so the second time it can focus on the details.
Exactly. Now for the magic part. Step 3, read and listen at the same time. Now you play the audio again, but this time you read the transcript as you listen.
Ah, this is where the light bulbs go on.
Ding, ding, ding. Suddenly, you see the words that were all squished together. You'll have moments like, oh, so that's what they were saying. You connect the sound you heard to the words on the page. You can see the gonna and wanna and all the connected speech in its written form.
This is so powerful because you're training your ear to hear the language as it's actually spoken, not how it looks in a textbook. You can pause and look up any new vocabulary you find.
And you can do a final step, step 4, which is to listen one more time without the transcript. I promise you, your comprehension will be close to 100% by this point. You've taken a small piece of English and you have completely mastered it.
That feeling of mastery is so motivating. And you've learned new vocabulary, you've improved your listening, and you've seen grammar in a natural context, all from just a few minutes of focused, active listening.
It's so much more effective than passively listening for 2 hours. It's about quality over quantity. You don't have to do this every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
I think that's a really important message. Don't burn yourself out. Find a routine that works for you. And remember, the goal is not to understand 100% of everything you hear immediately. No one does, not even native speakers.
Wait, that's such a good point. Olivia, have you ever been watching a movie and you miss a line of dialogue?
All the time. I have to turn to my husband and whisper, "What does she say?" It happens to everyone. We use context, we ask for clarification, or sometimes we just realize it wasn't a very important sentence and we move on.
Yes. So please give yourself permission to not understand everything. If you're watching a show and you miss a sentence, don't panic. Don't immediately stop and rewind. Try to just keep watching and see if you can understand the main idea from everything else that's happening.
That's a great real-world skill to practice, because in a real conversation, you can't rewind the other person. You have to learn to be comfortable with a little bit of ambiguity, with not knowing every single word. Focus on the main message.
So to recap our listening tips, choose the right material, something you enjoy, and that is at the right level for you. Practice active listening, not just passive listening. Use the listen, read technique with transcripts to master short clips. And finally, relax. Don't aim for 100% comprehension all the time. Focus on the main idea.
That's a perfect summary. And I feel like if our listeners start to apply these techniques, their listening skills and their confidence will grow so much faster. And that new confidence is exactly what we need to tackle the second mountain, speaking.
Ah, yes, speaking. The part where we actually have to open our mouths and produce the language. For many people, this is the scariest part of all.
It really is. It's one thing to understand, but it's another thing entirely to create sentences, use the right words, get the grammar right, and pronounce everything correctly, all in a split second during a conversation.
And you're doing all of that while being terrified of making a mistake.
The fear of making mistakes. I think that is the single biggest enemy of progress in speaking. We are so afraid of sounding stupid or being judged.
I remember being in a language exchange cafe in Madrid. I wanted to ask someone for directions to the bathroom. A simple question. I knew all the words, but I just sat there for 10 minutes repeating the sentence over and over in my head, trying to make it perfect.
Oh, I know this feeling. The mental rehearsal.
Exactly. I was so worried about my accent or using the wrong preposition. By the time I finally got the courage to ask, the person I was going to ask had already left.
Ah, James. But it's so relatable. We let the desire for perfection paralyze us. So, what is the antidote? What is the first and most important piece of advice we can give to our listeners about speaking?
I think it's this. Embrace your mistakes. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are proof that you are trying. They are a necessary, unavoidable, and even a good part of the learning process.
Yes, 1,000 times yes. Every mistake you make is a learning opportunity. When someone corrects you or when you realize you said something wrong, that memory sticks in your brain. You're much more likely to remember the correct way next time.
You have to be brave. You have to be willing to sound a little silly sometimes. You have to value communication over perfection. Did the person understand what you were trying to say? If the answer is yes, then you have succeeded.
That is the goal. Communication, not perfection. I love that. So once we have that mindset, once we agree to be brave and make mistakes, what are some practical techniques to actually practice speaking, especially if you don't live in an English-speaking country?
This is where things get really interesting. My #1 favorite technique, and I still do this sometimes just for fun, is called shadowing.
Ooh, you mentioned this in our last episode, but let's go into more detail. What exactly is shadowing? It sounds like something a spy would do.
It kind of feels like it. Shadowing is very simple. You take a short piece of audio, Again, a podcast clip, a line from a movie, anything, and you listen to it. Then you play it again and you try to speak at the exact same time as the speaker. You are their shadow.
So you're not listening and then repeating. You're speaking along with them.
Exactly. You're trying to copy everything, not just the words, but the rhythm, the intonation, the melody of the language, the way their voice goes up at the end of a question, or the way they stress certain words in a sentence.
That sounds challenging.
It is at first. You'll feel a bit clumsy. Your mouth is trying to make shapes it's not used to making at a new speed. But it is one of the most effective ways to improve your pronunciation and fluency. It builds muscle memory in your mouth.
So let's try a quick example. If I say a sentence in a normal conversational pace, our listeners could try shadowing me right now. Ready? I'm really excited to talk about this because I think it's incredibly helpful for learning.
And now you, the listener, would rewind that a little bit and try to say it right along with Olivia. You try to copy the way she said, really excited, and how her voice went up a little on helpful.
You don't even have to understand every word at first. The focus is on the sounds and the rhythm. You can do this in your car, in the shower, while you're walking. It's a fantastic warm-up for your mouth before you have to actually speak.
It really is. Start with just 1 minute a day. That's it. 1 minute of shadowing. You will be amazed at how much more natural your own speaking starts to sound over time.
I love that tip. It's practical, you can do it alone, and it directly tackles the physical aspect of speaking. Okay, so we have a technique for the music of English. What about the words themselves? That moment where you're trying to find the right word and your brain is translating from your native language.
The translation problem. This is a huge hurdle at the intermediate stage. Your brain is working overtime. It thinks of the sentence in your native language, translates it word for word into English, and then tries to say it. It's slow, and it often results in unnatural-sounding sentences.
So, what's the solution?
The solution is to start, little by little, to think directly in English.
Okay, that sounds great, but how do you just start thinking in another language? That seems like a very advanced skill.
You start small, incredibly small. You don't try to have a deep philosophical debate in your head. You start with single words. You're sitting at your desk right now. Look around. Instead of thinking the word for pen in your native language, just think the English word, pen. Look at your computer. Think computer. Lamp, window, chair.
So you're creating a direct connection between the object and the English word for it, cutting out the translation step.
Precisely. You do that for a few days. Then you level up. You start making very simple sentences in your head. As you make your coffee in the morning, have a little inner monologue in English. I am making coffee. I need water. I am pouring the water. Now I put the coffee in the cup.
It feels a little silly at first talking to yourself in your head like that.
It does, but it's training your brain to access English words and simple grammar structures automatically without translating. You're building new pathways in your mind.
And then you can gradually make the sentences more complex. You're on the bus and you can start describing what you see outside the window, just to yourself. I see a tall building. A woman is walking her dog. The dog is very small and brown.
Yes, and no one has to hear you. There is zero pressure, no fear of making mistakes. It is the safest possible speaking practice. You are your own conversation partner. Over time, you'll find that when you do need to speak, the words and sentences come a little bit more easily, a little bit more naturally.
Because you've already been practicing forming those sentences in your head all day. Your brain is already warmed up. That is a fantastic, powerful technique. I wish I had done that more when I was learning Spanish.
It's never too late to start.
True. Okay, so we have shadowing for pronunciation and rhythm, and thinking in English to reduce translation and improve fluency. But eventually, we have to talk to other people.
Where can our listeners find opportunities to practice with real humans?
This is the big step, but it's the most important one. You need to use the language. There are so many amazing apps and websites now. italki, HelloTalk, Tandem. These platforms connect you with native English speakers who want to learn your language.
A language exchange. So you might speak in English for 15 minutes, and then you speak in their native language for 15 minutes. It's a win-win.
It is, and it's a very low-pressure situation. You're both learners, you both understand the struggle, you can make mistakes, and it's okay. The other person is probably just as nervous to speak your language as you are to speak theirs.
That's such a good point. It immediately lowers the stress. And you can find people with similar interests, so you have something to talk about. You can start with text messages, then move to voice messages, and finally to short video calls.
Absolutely. Start with what you're comfortable with, but I would encourage you to try to use your voice as soon as you can. Even if it's just a 30-second voice message saying, "Hi, how was your day?" The act of producing the sounds and sending them to another person is a huge confidence booster.
It really is. And if you're not ready for one-on-one conversations, you can look for online groups, maybe a book club in English or a group that discusses movies. You can listen to others for a while, and then when you feel ready, you can share one small opinion.
Small steps. The goal is just to open your mouth and say something. It doesn't have to be a long, perfect speech.
Let's talk about a real-world scenario. Let's say a listener is in a conversation and they get stuck. They don't know a word or they're not sure how to phrase something. What should they do?
Don't panic. This is my biggest piece of advice. Don't just go silent. Native speakers forget words all the time. The difference is we have strategies to deal with it, and you can learn these strategies too.
You mean filler words?
Not just filler words, but conversation strategies. For example, if you don't know a specific word, describe it. Let's say you can't remember the word corkscrew, the tool you use to open a wine bottle.
Okay, I can't remember the word corkscrew.
Instead of freezing, you could say, "I need the thing you use to open a bottle of wine. It's metal and you twist it."
And the other person will immediately say, "Oh, a corkscrew."
Exactly. And you've not only communicated successfully, you've also just learned a new word in a very memorable way. You've kept the conversation going. It's a huge win.
So use phrases like "the thing you use for," or "it's a type of," or "it's the opposite of." Describing the word is a superpower.
It is. Another strategy is to ask for help. It's perfectly okay to say, "Sorry, what's the word for," or "How do you say?" People are almost always happy to help. It shows you're engaged in trying.
It makes you more human and relatable, not less fluent. I think that's a key mindset shift. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
100%. So, our speaking tips are: change your mindset, embrace mistakes as learning opportunities, communication over perfection. Practice shadowing to improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and flow. Start thinking in English, from single words to simple sentences, to reduce translation time. Find speaking partners through apps or online groups. Start small and build your confidence. And learn conversation strategies. If you forget a word, describe it or ask for help. Don't freeze.
This is all so incredibly useful. And I think it's important to see how listening and speaking are connected. They aren't two separate mountains. They are two sides of the same mountain.
Ooh, I like that imagery. Two sides of the same mountain. How so?
Well, everything we talked about with active listening, learning new vocabulary, understanding connected speech, hearing the rhythm of the language, all of that becomes the fuel for your speaking.
Right. The new phrases you hear in a podcast are the same phrases you can try to use when you're speaking. The intonation you notice when you're watching a show is the same intonation you can try to copy with shadowing.
Exactly. The more you listen, the more raw material you have to work with when you speak. Your brain starts to build a library of natural-sounding English phrases. So when you need to say something, instead of building a sentence from scratch with grammar rules, you can pull a complete, natural-sounding phrase from your library.
That's the key to fluency, isn't it? It's not about being a grammar genius. It's about having a large collection of these chunks of language that you can use without thinking.
It really is. So, if you feel like your speaking is stuck, a great solution is to double down on your active listening. Pay attention to the phrases people use to agree, to disagree, to change the subject, and then try to use them yourself.
I think we also need to talk about patience and kindness to ourselves. Learning a language is a long journey. It's not a straight line up. There will be good days and bad days.
Oh, definitely. There will be days when you feel like a superstar and you have an amazing conversation. And there will be days when you can barely say hello. And that is okay.
It's so okay. On those bad days, don't force yourself to have a long, difficult conversation. Maybe just do some shadowing or watch a show in English with subtitles. Be kind to your brain.
And celebrate the small wins. Did you understand a joke in a movie for the first time? Celebrate that. Did you use a new word in a conversation? That is awesome. Did you speak for 5 minutes with a language partner, even if you made mistakes? You are a hero.
You are a hero. I love it because it's true. It takes real courage. A great way to see your progress is to record yourself. I know, nobody likes the sound of their own voice.
It's the worst.
But do it anyway. Record yourself speaking for 1 minute today. Then put it away. In 3 months, record yourself speaking for 1 minute again, talking about the same topic. When you listen to the 2 recordings back to back, you will be shocked at your progress.
That is such a concrete way to see how far you've come. Because on a day-to-day basis, it's hard to feel the progress. It feels so slow, but it is happening under the surface.
It is. Like a plant growing. You don't see it growing every second, but after a few months, you look back and realize how much bigger it is. Your English is the same.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. So, we have covered so much today, from active listening techniques to practical speaking exercises, and most importantly, the right mindset.
I hope everyone listening feels encouraged and a little less intimidated. The intermediate plateau is real, but you can absolutely break through it. It just takes consistent practice and a bit of bravery.
And fun. Please find ways to make it fun. If you hate watching the news in English, don't do it. Watch a YouTube channel about building things with Legos if that's what you love. If you find a language partner who is boring, find a new one. Your motivation is your most precious resource, so protect it.
So true. Joy is a key ingredient in successful language learning.
Well, James, this has been a fantastic conversation. I feel motivated just talking about it. Do you have any final thoughts or a last piece of encouragement for our listeners?
I'd just say this. The next time you have a chance to speak English, even if it's just to say thank you to a tourist, take it. Don't let the opportunity pass you by because you're scared. Your voice deserves to be heard, mistakes and all. Every time you speak, you get a little bit stronger.
Beautifully said. And my final thought would be to trust the process. All the listening you are doing is working, even when it doesn't feel like it. Every podcast, every show, every song is a drop of water filling up a bucket. And when that bucket is full, the speaking will start to overflow naturally. Just keep filling your bucket.
Keep filling your bucket. I love that.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Best English Podcast. We really hope you found these tips helpful.
We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below this video or on our website. Tell us, which of these tips are you going to try first? Do you have any of your own secret techniques for practicing listening and speaking?
Sharing with the community is a great way for us all to learn together. And if you enjoyed this episode and found it valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving it a thumbs up. It really helps us to reach more English learners just like you.
Until next time, keep practicing, be brave, and have fun with it.
Bye, everyone. Happy learning.